And at number 10, we have virtual reality food. Well, take a look at this picture right here. This was from an episode back in 1993. So this was an episode of The Simpsons when virtual reality wasn't a thing, but The Simpsons have been known for predicting the future. I mean, like I said during the intro of this video, The Simpsons predicted Trump becoming the next American president back in 2000, which was 16 years before it actually happened. So virtual food might actually become a thing this year. I'm already seeing videos about eating food in VR and videos titled, "Now you can taste and chew in virtual reality." Number 9, Arnold Schwarzenegger becoming the next American president. This would make him the first foreign president, and this could cause panic to the American people. Imagine this was true. Who do you guys think should be the next American president? Also, do you think a non-American should be allowed to run? I know most of you guys the answer is no. Moving into number 8, robots taking over. I don't think he's gonna be laughing much longer once he finds out that, yeah, he's been replaced. Robots and machines have been taking over already. It's already becoming a thing. There's a great chance that in 2020 that machines are gonna be taking over more and more jobs. Amazon has already been bankrupting companies. Now it's gonna be taking over more of its own employees and overhead costs. They already have over 100,000 robots performing jobs that humans used to do.
It will have just millions of products.
To deal with that scale, Amazon has built an army of robots.
Number 7, flying cars. So it seems like we're getting closer and closer to this, and maybe 2020, this year, is gonna be the year. Maybe Elon Musk makes an electric flying car. I mean, that would be sick. We can already make massive drones that we can sit in and we can fly. This seems to be the direction that we're heading into because there's just so much traffic these days. Imagine flying home in 2 minutes instead of 1 hour through traffic. Number 6, from flying cars to solar energy powered cars. Maybe we can get solar energy powered cars that can fly, but let's not go too far. I mean, there has to be the next Elon Musk or company who is thinking of the next steps. So it's time to get rid of gas and electric altogether because we are now going to be using natural resources. Number 5, doctors that are replaced by robots. Now this one could be interesting, but I know for me, I'm still afraid of self-driving vehicles because it seems like your life is in someone else's hand. And for doctors, I don't know if I can get on board with this one, but it seems to be already happening. Don't believe me? Well, take a look at this. Take a look for yourselves.
During a month-long pilot, Moxie stocked patient rooms, removed dirty linens, and took samples to the lab.
Alright, number 4, the total collapse of the Russian economy. The Simpsons predicted Russia's current economic downfall back during an episode way back in 1999. I had no idea how bad the Russian dollar was, or I should say the Russian ruble is. For $1 Canadian, I can get almost 50 rubles. For Americans, you guys can get 62 rubles. Okay, moving into number 3, a large-scale environmental disaster. This was predicted during the Simpsons movie. In the movie, they had to quarantine Springfield by placing a giant bubble over the whole town. I guess you have to make decisions faster. There could be a nuclear war, which would force us to live underground, maybe in bunkers or in domes. With so much tension between powerhouse countries, I mean, this one could be plausible. Number 2, hormones in foods could be changing people's bodies. If it's changing people's bodies, I hope it's giving me more muscles. Well, there's a major concern right now in debates about the amount of hormones that are being used in our drinks and our foods. Hormones are being used to make animals, grow bigger. So farmers and companies can produce more food for the ever-demanding supply. Hormones might cause human mutation. Also, with young kids drinking all of these extra hormones, it might be causing them to go through puberty a lot earlier. Finally, at number 1, The Simpsons might be ending their very successful show after 30 years. It's pretty sad, but could this be because the creator of the show, Matt Groening, knows that the world is coming to an end in 2020? I mean, we always seem to have a doomsday asteroid heading towards Earth. We could be sucked into a black hole at any time. Giant solar flares could destroy us, could easily wipe us out. Maybe another ice age or a reversal of Earth's magnetic fields. Things could get pretty scary this year in 2020. I wonder what the Simpsons think is gonna happen, because whatever they think is gonna happen is most likely gonna happen. Like a 97-98% chance.
Coming in at number 10, we have Robot Takeover. The Simpsons was constantly doing social commentary and references to movies and other forms of media, so it should be no surprise that they had an episode that was very much in the vein of Jurassic Park meets Terminator. The family goes to visit the brand new Itchy and Scratchy land, and while they're there, the robots go rogue and try to kill everyone in the park. Obviously, the family manages to make it out with all their pieces intact. Now, could this robot takeover be around the corner? We have more automation in parts of our lives than ever before. I mean, the cars are self-driving now. With the global pandemic happening, it would seem that the push to have automation more available is coming even faster. So we're gonna have more versions of robots everywhere, which would make the world ripe for a robot takeover in 2021. Coming in at number 9, we have virtual reality food. The world of VR is constantly growing, and people are trying to find the killer application that will send this tech into the loving arms of the mainstream. The people who make VR tech want every family to have some sort of headset in their home so they can get hooked up to a digital landscape whenever they want. VR food was showcased in one episode of The Simpsons where we take a peek into the future. In their world it was 2030, but with VR already coming in hot, there's a good chance that we could see something like this next year. There's already cruise ship companies that have been putting together entire VR cruise experiences because people can no longer travel via cruise ship thanks to the coronavirus. So now they want to sell you the whole experience via headset. You could walk through the halls of a beautiful boat, see sun shining down on you. There's also an entire dining experience. Obviously you can't taste the food, but I wonder if down the road we'll get VR nose plugs that will shoot smells into our nose, and then you have something to put on your tongue that stimulates your taste buds. Why is this scary? Because I don't want people to take food away from me. I don't need that in my life. Coming in at number 8, we have the Baby Translator. Those of you who are fans of some of the original episodes of The Simpsons will remember Homer's brother Herb. He was the guy who was really making a name for himself and basically was the opposite of Homer. He was a go-getter, he was intelligent, and had a full head of hair. In one episode, Herb throws together a baby translator so that people can talk to their little goo bags, and it works perfectly on Maggie. Now this might sound kind of strange, but tech similar to this has worked for a while. In China there have been a series of apps that are supposed to help you understand your baby better. Most of these apps work on the noises that babies make by deciphering what the child needs. Are they hungry? Are they sleepy? Did they just poop their pants? So next year I wouldn't be surprised if we saw something similar to this in the West. This could be very scary because the more we bring technology in between us and our kids, the more we're going to lose our parental instincts. But maybe instincts are a thing of the past and we all gotta be automated from here on out. Coming in at number 7, we have Holographic Mail. Now The Simpsons definitely isn't the first form of media to predict holograms, and they won't be the last, but they have showcased some future tech of holograms, and it would seem that this tech is right on the horizon. A few years ago, Microsoft showcased some augmented reality tech. They showed Minecraft just appearing on a table, and it was mind-blowing. On top of that, there's the new cube wall in South Korea.
This huge 80 by 20 meter wave trapped inside what appears to be an aquarium is a public art installation displayed on South Korea's biggest digital billboard.
That is so insane. You could have a full-on 3D representation of people in your home if you had something like that in your living room. The only scary part about this would be someone sending unsolicited nudes through one of these bad boys. It would be pretty horrifying to have a 6-foot 3D penis just show up in your house from an unknown stranger who sent it via a blocked number. And if you don't think that's going to happen, then you have too much faith in humanity. I'm waiting for someone to hack that cube wall to show something perverted to thousands of people. Coming in at number 6, we have releasing a species into space. One of the most famous episodes of The Simpsons is when Homer gets to go to space. And what does Homer do while he's up in space? Well, he unleashes an ant colony on the people in the ship, and it would seem that all hell has broken loose. Now, this could be something we'll see in the next year. We know that SpaceX wants to go to Mars super bad, and if they send people up there, it will most likely be a one-way trip. They might tell you you're gonna come back, but I highly doubt that. So I could see someone bringing a pet along with them so they have some company while they're on this crazy voyage. What happens when they get to Mars? Well, would the ants be able to survive the trip? I have no idea. But I don't want to find out what happens to ants if they come in contact with aliens and get mutated into some sort of super ants that can survive on Mars, and then the whole planet is run by ants. Coming in at number 5, we have Bigfoot Is Discovered. I mean, that would would be par for the course with everything that has been going on in the world. It wouldn't necessarily be bad, but it would just be insane. Well, in one episode of The Simpsons back in 2002, Bart witnesses a Bigfoot just walking around to the public when he's up in Canada. So will this happen? Will the mysterious ape man be discovered in the Great White North? Well, maybe we already have discovered him up here and we just haven't told you guys because it's the biggest secret in Canada. Maybe everyone knows about Bigfoot up here and we just don't tell the rest of you because he can't be trusted. Coming in at number 4, we have the merging of all networks. Now, I don't know if we'll see all networks get sucked into one, but there have been a lot of acquisitions over the last few years. Disney is out buying up any property that gives its viewers the slightest hint of nostalgia, and a lot of networks are in dire strait right now because the ability to make content has been halted thanks to a global pandemic. So we could see a lot of big networks go out of business or come close to bankruptcy. They might try to save themselves by merging into one massive entity. We see this on one episode of The Simpsons where we get a glimpse into the future, and the major news network has become CNN, BC, BS, a division of ABC. Now, why would this be spooky? Well, it's already hard to get the facts from major news sources. All they really care about is ratings. It seems like journalistic integrity is out the window. Now, what would the world look like if one major face had a monopoly on news? That wouldn't be a pretty world to live in. Coming in at number 3, we have a billionaire will try and control the sun. It's not surprising that the super rich are constantly doing things to try and profit off the environment at the cost of a healthy planet and the people who live on it. Very few of them care about the cost of doing business unless the cost is actual dollar signs. Well, in one episode of The Simpsons, Mr. Burns blocks out the sun so that all of Springfield has to use the power plant energy 24 hours a day. This could be the next big move for the rich and evil. They are already cutting down swaths of the rainforest, which is causing forest fires because there's less moisture in the air, therefore less clouds because vegetation produces a ton of vapor. They've poisoned water supplies around the world, so the next thing they could be trying to control is whether or not you're allowed to be in the sun. Coming in at number 2, we have environmental disasters. In the Simpsons movie, the launch pad for the movie's conflict is when Homer is throwing out pig poop into the Springfield Lake. This is already a cesspool of disease, and the added poop sends Springfield into a mode of environmental disaster. We could see something like this again in 2021. I mean, probably. There's basically been some sort of environmental catastrophe every year for who knows how long. There was the water in Flint, Michigan, the forest fires in California, the fires in Australia, the BP oil spill, the list goes on and on. So will there be something next year that will cause all of us to be on high alert because we've done some serious damage to our gentle planet once again? Well, it would seem that could be true. I really hope not, because I don't know how many more punches to the gut the planet can take before its knees start to buckle. Alright, and coming into the number 1 spot, we have the dome. Running off our last point in the same Simpsons movie, we have the entire town quarantined because of this environmental disaster. Now, most of the world is in some level of quarantine, whether it be indoor dining, everyone working from home, or you're like Florida and you don't have any sort of lockdown procedures, and the state just gave the okay to sell out Dolphins Stadium. That is crazy. Well, if things keep getting worse in some places, maybe we'll see the most intense of all lockdown procedures, the dome. In the Simpsons movie, the entire town is locked under a massive dome that makes sure no one can get in or out of the city. Could this happen somewhere in the world? Perhaps somewhere where the coronavirus has gotten out of control, or maybe the virus mutates along the line and an entire city or country needs to be closed down. The military flies in a dome and locks the city away in a forced quarantine. If that happens, you better start stockpiling on canned food because that's a very scary future.
Starting off the countdown, we have the death of the president's wife. Okay, this one is quite eerie. In season 14, episode 21 of The Simpsons, titled Bart of War, an interesting headline can be seen across the newspaper in one of the scenes. The newspaper headline reads, "A president shoots his wife." Could it be that The Simpsons predicted that Trump or another president will kill their wife? Let's hope not. Now, up to this point, no president has shot their wife. In fact, this episode came out in 2003, and the president at the time was George W. Bush. Now, his wife Laura Bush is still alive, so this headline has not come true, meaning maybe it won't happen. Or maybe this means it wasn't Bush they were worried about, but a different president. In our 9th spot, we have the Outbreak. Of course, you have probably heard that The Simpsons predicted our current situation. In the 1993 episode titled Marge in Chains, a mysterious virus from Asia plagues the town of Springfield. In the episode, a sick factory worker coughs into a bunch of boxes that were then shipped to Springfield. As a result, tons of Springfield residents get sick with this flu. The flu spreads quickly throughout the town, and soon numerous residents become sick. On top of that, the doctor says that the best way to combat the flu is to stay at home. Okay, that's pretty creepy. Seems an awful lot like what's currently going on. So, in 1993, The Simpsons predicted this current outbreak. Coming in at number 8, we have Tom Hanks. Fans are adamant that The Simpsons predicted that Tom Hanks would catch the virus and would have to self-isolate. So let's look at the facts. In 2007, in the Simpsons movie, Tom Hanks makes a guest star appearance. So in this movie, Springfield gets trapped inside of a dome. People think that this eerily resembles all of the countries that have gone into lockdown. But not only that, in the movie we see Hanks advertising the new Grand Canyon. He finishes the ad by saying, and I quote, "This is Tom Hanks saying, if you see me in person, please leave me be." Fans think that this highlights how Hanks got sick and needed to isolate, aka he shouldn't be interacting with anyone until he is 100% healthy again. In our 7th spot, we have Hologram Mail. The Simpsons episode titled Bart to the Future was the episode that predicted Trump's presidency. Not only that, but it may have predicted hologram mail. In the episode, Bart receives a hologram message in the mail, much like the ones that we see in Star Wars and other movies. I mean, it's pretty cool. And guess what? It's currently in the works. Products like the Real Fiction HD3 is using hologram-like technology. On top of that, KT, Korea Telecom, is currently working on a 360-degree live VR FaceTime. Basically, you wear a headset and you'll be able to see the person that you're FaceTiming with right there in your living room with you. Kinda creepy, but kinda cool. Making our way down the list, at number 6, we have the surgery robots. In the episode Holidays of Future Past, which is the 9th episode of season 23, we see that the youngest Simpson, Maggie, is pregnant and is being treated by a robot. The robot is giving her advice and is performing an ultrasound. Well, surgery and medical robots are currently being created. One doctor in Japan is creating a robot to conduct ultrasounds just like we saw in the episode. On top of that, surgery robots are under works, but I don't know how much I would trust them. Like, all we need is them to malfunction during a heart or brain surgery. No thank you, that's terrifying. We're now at our 5th and halfway mark with the space expedition. The Simpsons believe that shortly we will be able to travel to and live on Mars. In season 27, episode 16, titled Margian Chronicles, Lisa signs up to be part of a mission to colonize Mars. As a result, she ends up on Mars with Marge. So people think that 2020 will be the year that great space advancements will be made. Particularly, they believe that Elon Musk will start sending people to Mars. Well, according to Musk, for 2020 he has plans to send cargo to Mars. Then in 2024 he will send more cargo and then some crew members. Then by 2050 he wants to send 1 million people to Mars. I mean, hey, at least he's got goals. Now this seems unlikely, but who knows? Maybe it will be added to the list of Simpsons predictions that have come true. In our 4th spot, we have the robot takeover. With robots now replacing a lot of workers, I feel like it's only time before they start to take over the world. And according to The Simpsons, this may be in our near future. There are numerous episodes of The Simpsons where we see robots taking over. One of them being the episode titled Itchy and Scratchy Land, which was episode 4 in season 6. In this episode, large animatronic robots go haywire and cause mass destruction. They basically turn into killing machines, threatening The Simpsons' lives. Then there's the episode titled Them Robots, which is the 17th episode of season 23. In this episode, Mr. Burns replaces all of the power plant workers with robots. But this goes terribly wrong and the robots start to turn on the community. So The Simpsons not only predicted that robots will take all of our jobs, but also that they will turn against us and try to wipe out the entire human race. In our 3rd spot, we have World War III. Earlier this year, we were threatened with the possibility of World War III. Thankfully, it hasn't happened yet. Could 2020 be the year that World War III happens? Well, let's ask The Simpsons, because they predicted that it will happen. In the 1995 episode titled Lisa's Wedding, we dive 15 years into the future. Now, in this episode, we see Homer and Lisa's fiance, Hugh, drinking at Moe's bar. In the scene, Moe realizes that Hugh is from England and mocks him by saying, "We saved you in World War II. Now, it's Hugh's response that has sparked a lot of interest. He replies saying, "Yeah, well, we saved you in World War III. Oh, great. So it may just be that another war is going to begin. What's scary is how this particular episode was filled with other predictions that have come true, like virtual reality games, FaceTime, and Apple Watches. So let's hope that this particular one doesn't come true. In our second spot, we have the disastrous asteroid. What else can we add to the list of 2020 tragedies? How about a meteor that might, how about an asteroid that might crash down on Earth and completely destroy us all? In the 14th episode of season 6 titled Bart's Comet, Bart discovers a comet that is headed straight towards Earth. They believe that the comet is going to destroy life as they know it. Well, NASA is currently tracking a giant asteroid traveling at around 28,000 miles per hour that's headed towards Earth's orbit. Great. This asteroid is around 1,500 feet wide. Its impact could be very disastrous and could wipe us out. Now, the Simpsons episode ends with the comet being burnt up into little pieces, causing no harm to Earth. Amen! And NASA reports that the asteroid currently poses no threats, so maybe we're safe for now. And in our number 1 spot, we have the murder hornets. Just when we thought 2020 couldn't get any worse, there are now murder hornets that are infesting certain areas of the world. Like, come on, give us a break here. And you guessed it, The Simpsons predicted this once again. What's freaky is how The Simpsons predicted that we would be invaded by murder hornets at the same time as the virus outbreak. So in the 1993 episode titled Marge in Chains, the town gets sick from the flu sent from Japan. In the same episode, people are rioting and then they knock over a truck which breaks open a crate labeled "Danger, Killer Bees." I don't know how they do it, but they do it. Now, these murder hornets have arrived in North America. They get its name because they rip off the heads of bees who are their main food source. Now, it's said that they don't really pose that much of a threat to humans. Their stings are very, very painful, but they are only deadly to some people.
Starting off this countdown, we have the Higgs boson particle. In season 10, episode 2 of The Simpsons, Homer becomes inspired by the work of Thomas Edison. As a result, he tries to become an inventor. In one scene, we see Homer scribbling on a chalkboard. At the bottom, it reveals a math equation, which wasn't thought to be anything big, just Homer doing some scribbles. Until more than a decade later, when scientists discovered the Higgs boson particle, otherwise known as the God particle. People then realized Homer's work was a lot like this particle. Like, what kind of sorcery is this? Do they got a team of scientists working for them or something? Seriously, the writers either must be super smart or they have psychic powers. Or both. And at number 9, we have the grease scheme. And if you guys like this video and you want to see more videos from us, then make sure to give this video a big thumbs up because it really helps us out. So in the 1998 episode titled Lord of the Dance, which is from season 10 episode 1, Homer comes up with an idea to steal grease from a bunch of places, like his kid's school cafeteria, and then he sells it to make a quick buck. Well, guess what? People started doing this in real life. In New York, people were going around stealing grease from restaurants. It was so bad that apparently $75 million worth of grease gets stolen each year. Restaurants had to start hiring people to safely remove their grease so that people wouldn't break in and steal it. Sounds absolutely crazy, right? Well, somehow, The Simpsons knew that this was going to happen. Or maybe people were influenced by Homer in that episode. Either way, it's pretty creepy. In our 8th spot, we have the Outbreak. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty creeped out when I found out that The Simpsons might have predicted COVID-19. Seriously, it's really creepy. So in the 1993 episode titled Marge in Chains, a mysterious virus from Asia plagues the town of Springfield. In the episode, a sick factory worker coughs into a bunch of boxes that they were shipping out to Springfield. As a result, tons of Springfield residents get sick with this flu. The flu spreads quickly throughout the town and soon a number of residents become ill. On top of that, the doctor says the best way to combat the flu is to stay at home. home. Okay, that's pretty creepy. Seems an awful lot like what's going on currently. So in 1993, The Simpsons predicted this current outbreak. Not only that, but in the same episode, they had these killer bees. A bunch of townsfolk knock over a crate labeled killer bees when looking for the cure. Well, a couple months ago, we had the scare of murder hornets. So tell me how The Simpsons managed to get 2 predictions right in one episode. Like the same episode. They knew that murder hornets were gonna be a thing at the same time there was an outbreak. It's crazy. Moving on to number 7, we have the tiger attack. In 2003, Roy Horn from the duo Siegfried and Roy was attacked on stage by their white tiger. Thankfully, he survived the attack. But it seems like The Simpsons predicted this 10 years before it even happened. So let's take a look at the 1993 episode titled Springfield, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love Legalized Gambling. What a title. In this episode, we see 2 magicians named Gunter and Ernst. They worked in a casino and had a magic show where they displayed white tigers. Sound familiar? Well, in this episode, while performing a show, the tiger lashes out and attacks both the handlers in front of a crowded audience. So you're telling me that The Simpsons made an episode that's a parody of Siegfried and Roy, and then years later the exact thing happens to them? Yeah, that's some weird voodoo stuff going on there. I don't like that. And at number 6, we have the three-eyed fish. So in The Simpsons, the three-eyed fish is known as Blinky. It's a mutated fish that gets discovered after Bart fishes it up near the Springfield power plant. This happened in season 2, episode 4, which aired back in 1990. Fast forward to 2011, and there are headlines about an Argentinian man who caught a three-eyed fish while out on a fishing trip with some friends. Turns out that the fish was caught in a reservoir where a power plant pumps hot water from their facility, and clearly the water gets polluted. The fishermen said that it was dark at the time and they didn't really notice the fish, but then when they looked at him with the flashlight, they saw his third eye. How convenient. A three-eyed fish. Just like in The Simpsons. We're now at our 5th and halfway mark with 9/11. There are a bunch of cartoon shows that have been thought to have predicted the tragedy that occurred on September 11th, 2001. One of them being Johnny Bravo. The other one, of course, being The Simpsons. In a 1997 episode titled New York City Against Homer, we see Lisa hold up a magazine. The camera punches in on it and it reads New York, $9 a day. Behind the $9, it appears to be the Twin Towers. The way that everything is formatted, it looks like it says 9/11. At this point, I don't even know what to believe. Moving on, number 4, we have Capitol Hill. Of course, you all know by now that on January 6th of this year, an angry mob of President Trump supporters stormed Capitol Hill. Well, turns out that The Simpsons may have warned us that this would happen. For this, let's take a look at the 1996 episode titled The Day the Violence Died. This episode was meant to be a parody of the 1976 Schoolhouse Rock segment, I'm Just a Bill. The Simpsons version was I'm an amendment to be. In the episode when the amendment is ratified, the character says, "Doors open, boys," and then a bunch of amendment or bill looking characters start storming up the steps of the Capitol Hill building. Some have then linked this scene to what happened at Capitol Hill on January 6th. So I don't get how they do it, but they do. Like, what magical powers do they have? Do they have a crystal ball or something? Let me know. Coming in at number 3, we have advanced technology. So somehow The Simpsons knew how technology was going to be like for us in the future. A lot of these predictions were made in the 1995 episode titled Lisa's Wedding. In this episode, Lisa visits a psychic that shows her what her future is like. And in one scene, we see Lisa's husband Hugh talking to a watch, which then literally turns into a phone. Sound familiar? Watch that you can use as a phone? Yeah, an Apple Watch. In this episode, they also predicted FaceTime, since there's a scene where we see Lisa talking to her family on what looks like a FaceTime call or a video chat or whatever, I don't know. Again, this was done back in 1995, and the Apple Watch came out in around 2014. So The Simpsons are just always ahead of the game. Coming in at number 2, we have the NSA spying scandal. In 2013, a former contractor for the CIA, Edward Snowden, revealed that the US National Security Agency, the NSA, was collecting phone records of millions of Americans. Dun, dun, dun. So they were spying on us. Well, not me, I'm Canadian. But they were spying on people through their phone calls, and they probably still are. But anyways, in the 2007 Simpsons movie, they literally predicted that this would happen. So in the movie, the Simpsons family flee Springfield and are hiding from the EPA. Well, in one scene, Marge warns her family to be careful because people could be listening in on their conversations. Then it cuts to a room filled with NSA agents listening in on a bunch of people's calls. It's like they knew from the beginning we were being spied on by the government. I mean, we all had our suspicions, but the Simpsons actually said it out loud, and they were correct. I'm starting to think that they have insider info. And in our number one spot, we have the horse meat scandal. Okay, all of the predictions so far are pretty creepy, but this one goes beyond that. So in 2013, the horse meat scandal was a huge food industry scandal in which foods declared as 100% beef were found to have horse meat mixed in with it, along with some other animals. Countries such as France, Iceland, England, Russia, Ireland, and Sweden were affected by this scandal. And as gross as it is, The Simpsons predicted it. So this was predicted in an episode back in 1994 in which lunch lady Doris is feeding kids mystery meat. More specifically, in season 5, episode 19, Doris serves the kids from a large container, reading assorted horse meat. And guess what? Kids' lunches were affected by this horse meat scandal. So, what are the odds? Like, honestly, Simpsons, you can tell me that it was meant to be a joke, but I don't know. This one is pretty weird. I honestly think that that was a warning for us.